Bats.
The Bats, of course.
Bats.
Who's the Sluggers?
They play at Louisville Slugger Field.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Bats. Great town for a baseball weekend. So Jeff ought to have fun there. Whiskey Rose there. Louisville's a good town. Anyway, we'll talk with Jeff next week. On Saturday, Nashville SC and FC Cincinnati will play 6:30 p.m. will be first touch. Friday night, Canadian Football League, Winnipeg and Edmonton. That's tonight at ESPN2, 8 o'clock Central.
Go Winnipeg.
All of our friends in South Pittsburgh, are aware.
Are Winnipeg fans this weekend.
WNBA, it's a busy weekend tonight. We've got Connecticut and Minnesota at 7 on NBA TV. Dallas and Chicago also at 7. That's on CBS Sports Network. Seattle at Phoenix at 9. NBA TV on Saturday. Chicago, New York at 6 o'clock. NBA TV, a doubleheader, Los Angeles and Vegas to follow. Sunday, a doubleheader as well on NBA TV. A little matinee action. Dallas at Indiana at 2, and Atlanta at Seattle at 5. Those are all central time zones. And this weekend, the NASCAR M&M's Fan Appreciation 400, 2 p.m. And where is that track? USA? Where is that, Chris?
I don't remember.
Or is that left over from, I think that was left over from something else. But anyway, there we go.
Hang on.
Yeah, I legitimately.
That's at 2 o'clock.
It is. If you
Check your
find,
local listings. You'll find
or
it.
go back to Wednesday's show. We talked about it with Heather.
With Heather
I just
Williams.
don't remember where it is.
That is correct.
There you go.
All right, so that is your Friday rundown with a look ahead to the weekend, brought to you by ChooseChip.net and Chip Washers.
I just want to know, okay, and we didn't.
Uh-oh.
Is it M&M's fans or is it NASCAR fans that we're appreciating on Sunday? I think that's.
I guess it's a good question. The M&M's Fan Appreciation 400.
Right. So.
Is it an M&M's Fan
Is
Appreciation?
it M&M's fan appreciation or is it NASCAR fan appreciation brought to you by M&M's?
It may be M&M's Fan Appreciation. M&M's. At least
legit-
that's the way it reads.
I legitimately don't know.
Yeah,
the
it's a good
answer
question.
to that.
It's a valid question. By the way, it looks like they're at Pocono this weekend.
That's it. That's exactly what it was. Because I remember going from the mile track to the longest track to Pocono.
Look at Mo, the one finding out where NASCAR is.
Well, my internet is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
we're gonna take you to the break, but before we do that, we have one more thing to get to you because we don't have this in the middle of the show, so we're gonna throw it at you now, and that is this day in Braves history, brought to you by insert your business here.
As we mentioned, the Braves open a series this weekend at home against the Angels. Angels will be without Mike Trout.
Without Mike Trout.
Yeah. Hated for him. This day in Braves history, on July 22nd, 1980, Atlanta's Bob Horner hit a pair of homers in a 7-5 win over the Montreal Expos, giving him 15 home runs in his last 23 games. Is that good?
That seems good.
And 13 in July, just 2 short of the MLB record shared by Hank Greenberg, Joe DiMaggio, and ex-Brave Joe Adcock. Horner hit one more home run in July, finishing with, 14? And finished the year with 35, a career high.
There you go.
There it is.
That is this day in Braves history. We've got Bill Hancock, Executive Director of the College Football Hall of Fame, coming your way right after this. Don't go anywhere. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant on the controls, making everything work here while we are at the College Football Hall of Fame at SEC Media Days 2022. Thank you guys for hanging out with us all week long. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking about college football throughout the rest of the year and into January. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot to talk about. Obviously, we get the difference of SEC Media Days now versus back when you were covering it. It's a lot different. Things have changed in the college football world since you were covering it, and since the Bowl Coalition, the BCS, now the playoff. Changes just keep happening, and college football keeps growing.
It's not going away, that's for sure.
There's no question there. One of the exciting things about being here on Radio Row at SEC Media Days is you get to talk to some of the most influential people in all of college football, and we have one of those with us right now.
Whoa, I'm going to stop you.
Maurice? Is it Maurice you're talking about?
It
Yes.
is most definitely not.
As far as the most influential,
I'm going to go a step further. I'm not sure we're talking with one of the most influential.
He may
be the most influential person in college football.
Listen, let me say this. If I'm one of the most or the most, you're hurting for influential people.
Bill Hancock, Executive Director of the College Football Playoff, is with us here on Main Street Sports Today. Mr. Hancock, we really appreciate you taking some time with us, first of all.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
And as Chris said, college football has changed so much even over the last 10 years and continues to change. But you've been a part of college athletics going back to your days at the University of Oklahoma. How does one go from sports information to Executive Director of the College Football Playoff?
I'll tell you, I work 24/7, 365 in college football, and I think I have the best job in America. And I started out in sports information because I needed a job. I was working my way through college, and I heard about this thing called the Sports Information Office. And they hired students to carry typewriters around, and I actually knew how to write a little bit. So I got a job in there, and it turned into a whole career for me.
Well, here's what's funny. I worked in sports information at Middle Tennessee State while I was a student, carrying typewriters around and Xerox machines, when the mimeograph.
I would spill the fluid on my shirt carrying that mimeograph up to the press box.
Yeah, you only did it once.
You only did it once. That's right.
But like I said, you started out. I started out. Maybe there's still hope for me, right? Yeah, what happened? Yeah. But when we knew that we were going to have the opportunity to speak with you, the one question that popped up with me is, how do you feel like realignment is going to impact or is impacting the college football playoff?
As far as the future format, I see it as neutral. We still have commissioners that have to make a decision. We still have university presidents. Our big board is university presidents. We still have those people, and they will be making decisions based on a lot of factors. And I don't think the recent realignment change will affect our process. I really don't.
Even going forward into the future, we don't feel like realignment's over, and I'm sure the rest of the college football world is thinking it's probably not. So you guys are kind of having to play it by ear right now. It's just let everything play out, and when the next contract comes up, we'll figure it out. Is that kind of how it's going to go?
We are managed by contracts,
sure,
and we have 4 more years to go on the current contract, and all the conferences are the signatories on the contract. They own the CFP, the conferences do.
Sure.
And really, we will just, whenever the time comes, and it won't be too long from now, go back to the table and see what we want to do about the future format. We have to have a new format for the 2026 season Otherwise, it's like Mission Impossible. The CFP will self-destruct, and we don't have anything after 2026. Right. Well, we know we'll need to have some way to decide the national champion, and we will. My bosses will get together and do what's best for college football, whatever that is.
Is it tough for you as a college football fan, Bill Hancock, to watch some of the stuff? And, people say 8-team playoff, 12-team playoff, that kind of thing. And I know that you just mentioned neutral a little bit ago. I imagine you have to be neutral on a lot of stuff in your professional position, whereas as a fan, you might have a thought or two about some things.
We had the proposal last summer for the 12-team playoff with the best 6 conference champions and then 6 at-large teams. And we're working through the process on that. I came to really like that approach. I liked the balance between those 6 conference champions. I liked having 6 at-larges. You probably heard Commissioner Sankey yesterday talking about with say 5 or 6 automatics and 2, let's say, at-larges. For him, that doesn't work, and I understand that, because why would you back up? Now we have 4 at-larges. They're all at-larges. So why would you get rid of 2 at-larges with the expansion? I agree with him on that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So with the 12, you still have 6 at-larges, plus you can reward the best 6 conference champions.
There you go.
But my job is sort of traffic cop in the room. I don't have a vote. I make sure they have all the research material they need, and I'm there to answer any questions. But I do like the 12.
That's funny. We when that was being discussed last summer, that was kind of the consensus that we came to in the room. Not that anybody asked us. But
that's right.
That was kind of the way we felt as well.
I tried to call you that day. I guess
we must have been on the air.
You were on the air.
We must have been on the air.
Note to self, when Bill Hancock calls, take it.
Answer, no matter what. Just on the air, answer it.
But truly, the process you went through, I think it's what a lot of people went through, because they really hadn't thought about 12.
Really hadn't.
It was like 8, 16.
Right.
And 12 is like, wait, what? 12?
But 12 makes so much sense, because it gives the advantage, or gives an advantage to finishing in the top 4.
Sure. Because it incentivizes that.
It gives you an incentive to finish in the top 4.
That buy is really important.
It really is.
Then you've got your next tier of incentive, which is to be able to play at home in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, in that scenario, what happens to the bowl tie-ins to those games?
Well, the proposal was that bowl tie-ins would really no longer exist, other than if you had a team that was going to play in the quarterfinals, you would put that team at its traditional bowl. So like Ohio State would have gone, in the way the recommendation was, would have gone to the Rose Bowl.
That's not going to happen anymore.
Tennessee.
That's a whole other.
I'm not going to go there. We're not. We'll open that can if you want to later on. But Tennessee would go to the Sugar Bowl, and that's the way it was set up in the recommendation. Now, whether the recommendation, survives or not, is to be determined.
I think my biggest question, Bill, and speaking with Bill Hancock, the executive director of the College Football Playoff here on Main Street Sports today, you served time in the BCS as well. Is there
that sounds like, wait.
Well, and it probably was like serving time at times.
But it was Shawshank, so I'm okay.
Way easier. Shawshank may have been easier than the BCS.
Came out on the other side.
Had to swim through a lot of stuff to get there. Oh man!
Matter of fact, there's still some wood carvings.
Bill was here.
But are there things about the BCS that you wish maybe would come back, or we could have carried over, or that you learned from?
We wouldn't have a college football playoff today.
Oh, sure.
If we hadn't had the BCS. And interesting, we had the Bowl Coalition 3 years, the Bowl Alliance 3 years, BCS 16 years, a whole generation.
Yep.
And now we're heading into our 9th year of CFP.
That's wild. That doesn't feel like it's been 9 years.
It really does.
Isn't that amazing? Where did the time go?
Time flies when you're having fun, right,
Yep,
Bill?
amen. Boy, and I've been having fun, and we all have. The BCS it showed that the conferences and the bowls could get together to create a new system, and that was beautiful, kind of unprecedented, and it worked. Of course, by the end of the BCS, people were a little tired of it.
Sure.
They wanted a tournament,
Right.
and now we have the tournament.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. You can give me coach speak all you want if necessary. But obviously, being in Middle Tennessee in the Nashville market, the prospect of the college football playoff playing a game in Nashville if a new stadium is completed, what is the prospect? Is that a high probability?
We look at 3 or 4 different factors about a city, and you look at the infrastructure, stadium, hotels, convention center. You look at the city's ability, kind of proven ability at hosting big events, air service, and of course that stadium is critical. And really, if the new stadium that I've heard talk about comes into play, Nashville will check all the boxes.
I was about to say this.
In other words, yes.
Certainly sounds like a yes.
The only thing is we need cranes, construction cranes.
Well,
we have plenty of those in Nashville.
They've got 2 or 3 of them sitting around. Yeah.
All over.
All over, everywhere.
It seems like anywhere you stand in Nashville, you can see
It's actually the official
multiple
bird.
ones. The crane is the official
It's the
bird.
official
of
bird.
Nashville?
National now.
Official bird. I
Makes
like
sense.
that. Yeah. No, truly, Nashville will check all the boxes. We're watching that very closely.
Fantastic. That's great news. I'm excited. I've always said, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have the college football playoffs
How cool
here
would
in Nashville?
that be? Yeah. And maybe we can even get a couple of passes now.
I mean, we know a guy. Bill Hancock, the executive director of the college football playoff, here with us. Mo, anything else?
I think I'm good. I just I feel really, really fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with you here on Main Street Sports today, and appreciate your time.
Me too. I'll give you a little connection with your area. My family, ancestral family, was in North Carolina, and they moved west. And the first place they went to was Murfreesboro. And they lived there for 4 or 5 years, and then they moved on to Marville, Arkansas, across the river from Memphis. And then they wound up settling in Oklahoma. But that was on their path from North Carolina out west. And they from all accounts, they had a really good experience in Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro's a good town. Not as good as Franklin, but it's a good town.
But a good town. Hey, y'all are great. This has been so much fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
We've really appreciated you taking time with us.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from SEC Media Days on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton, a Hall of Famer in his own right, and JP Plant on the controls. And we are excited to continue our coverage from SEC Media Days this week, where we have had some fantastic guests, and glad that we could dump them all on you today, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, we're not just dumping them, but
Friday dump.
it is. It's kind of like the Friday news dump. We're just, everybody that we couldn't work into the Monday through Thursday show, the folks who we had to accommodate different times for and were gracious enough to accommodate time for us.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that we could get them on. So thank you guys for watching our Friday show. We appreciate it. Looking forward to getting back to you guys on Monday. Now, we finally get somebody who's from Tennessee.
Little local ties.
Little local tie.
Little local flavor, absolutely. Joining us now here on Main Street Sports today is the Assistant Executive Director of the Autozone Liberty Bowl, Harold Grader. Harold, appreciate you taking some
Mo,
time
well,
with
thanks
us.
for the invite. Thanks for having me on.
No, we appreciate it. Harold was reminding us that the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is no longer played at the Liberty Bowl.
That's it.
It is now at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
That's correct.
And it is scheduled for December 28th, 2022. It will be shown at 4:30 Central Time on ESPN. Put it on your calendars.
Absolutely.
The 64th annual.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just goes to show this is one of the real bowls.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those fake
This
bowls.
isn't
that
one of
just-
those made for TV bowls.
This is a real bowl.
Exactly. And it's a member of the Southeastern Conference against a member of the Big 12, and those numbers are continuing to dwindle. But
Right.
You were out at their media days last week.
Yeah, this is, as Coach Spurrier used to say, it's talking season, and we were in Dallas last week for the Big 12 as they introduced their new commissioner, Brett Yormark, and like we do here, get around, see everybody. And, we always get the question, being bowl guys, why do you go to things like that? What do you do? And for us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, when you don't have the beaches and things like that, but you have a great city that's a destination, we kind of take the Avis approach. We try harder. Mm-hmm. So we're getting out there. We think it's a relationship business. So just as we did last week, we're here in Atlanta this week. It's about reconnecting with coaches. If football ops guys happen to be with the coach, they were a couple of times in Dallas last week, the media relations people, folks that when we get our team in December, those are the folks that we're going to be working with in preparation for the bowl game. So it's great to reconnect in the preseason, and then obviously we'll see them during the season. And, we think it's a relationship business, so that's why we were, in Dallas last week and here in Atlanta this week.
Mo, ask the folks in Shreveport what not having relationships will do for you.
Wow. We're not going to go there. But
important is all I'm saying.
It's
good
important.
job.
And he knows. He knows that. As you look at the Big 12 and how that membership is changing, as you look at the SEC and how its membership is changing, how do you feel like realignment affects bowls, and I guess your bowl in particular?
Right.
Do you anticipate there being an impact from some of the shifting sands?
Well, Mo, for now it's a wait and see. As things are structured right now through 2025, the contracts are in place for all of the bowl games. For us, you mentioned SEC, Big 12. Those contracts are in place. Right now, as we speak, starting with the 2026 season, there is no plan for postseason college football. So tying it in with conference realignment and then an expansion of the playoff, there's a series of events that have to happen. Mm-hmm. First is the conference is figuring out what are we going to be, who are we going to be. So they've got to make that determination so they can go to the media market and get their media deals done. And then once you know what the makeup of the conferences are, then you can address postseason college football and expanded playoff.
And
what's that going to look like? Yeah. And all of those decisions are going to have to be made here in the next couple of years or so. So you could go to market and get your media deals done, and that everyone will then know starting in 2026, what does postseason college football look like? And once the upper tier, meaning the playoff, 8, 12. What is that going to be? Is it going to include the bowls? And then that you have that trickle down to the rest of the bowl system. And, for us, you touched on it a little bit. For us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, this is year 64. We're the 7th oldest bowl game. So a lot of history, a lot of tradition, great brand name. And that's one of the things that's so gratifying for us at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is when we're traveling and get introduced as, hey, these guys are from Memphis. We're at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Seemingly, everyone has some story about our game, whether they were there in person or they watched the game on television. When you've been around for 64 years, you've got a great legacy. And for us, it goes all the way back to the founding of the game in Philadelphia back in 1959. And here we are in 2022, and it's the 40th, just one of those nuggets, it's the 40th anniversary of Coach Bryant's last game.
He
had such a great relationship with Bud Dudley, who was the founder and the executive director of the ball game. Coach Bryant coached in four Liberty Bowl games, now AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And, that 82 season, it was just by Alabama standards and Coach Bryant standards, just a good year, not a great year. Mm-hmm. And I think as the stories go, they were supposed to go to a different game. Sure. But when he made the determination that he was going to retire, because he was so close and had such a love for the Liberty Bowl and reverence and great friendship with Mr. Dudley, he called Mr. Dudley up and said, hey, Bud, I've made the decision. I'm going to retire. I'm going to make my last game in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl. And again, so just part of our history and tradition, but this is the 40th anniversary of that game. And, when you have that great brand and that great history, that's a pretty good calling card and a great way to start a conversation with folks. But again, folks know the name, they know the brand, they know the history, and there's a lot of value in that.
Certainly is. Harold Grader, the Assistant Executive Director of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Obviously, too early to speculate who you might have as a matchup this time. Don't think it'll be Alabama.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And our daughter's going to be a sophomore in Alabama, and I think she is hoping her bowl trip will be somewhere else other than coming back home. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I-22. Just don't let me have to get on I-22 is all I'm saying.
Yeah. In your other life, besides your connection with the Liberty Bowl, you were telling us that you are involved with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, proud to be on that board, have served on that board for quite a while. It's an interesting setup where, all of the board members are appointed by either the governor, the lieutenant governor, or the speaker. I was reappointed by Governor Lee and are very proud of that. You can't say enough about a Nashville guy that, folks in your market and the folks listening probably will recognize the name of Brad Willis, who we brought on a couple of years ago as our new executive director. And he's done a great job. And our state has such an incredible history and legacy. And I'm proud to be a part of that. Coming up Saturday night at the Omni there in Nashville, we're going to have we're back to doing it in person. We're going to have our induction dinner on Saturday night. We're excited about that. We're bringing back the inductees from 20 and 21 because we weren't able to have an in-person event. So all of those folks are going to be there, plus our class of 22. And again, when you go to an event like that, and it's so gratifying to hear the stories about these folks' lives. They may be someone you never really heard of, but in their community, they're a celebrity. People know their stories, and we do have a great legacy. And obviously the mega names, Javon Curse, I think, is one of our inductees, and folks like that. Everybody knows them, but it's these other folks that may come from a smaller town or a smaller school.
Or Trevecca,
and you hear their stories, and it's great, and we're very proud of that. And again, proud to serve as the vice chairman of the board. Phil Fulmer, my good friend, is chairman of the board. And, again, we're here, as I tell folks, tell Brad, I tell the governor, I'm here to serve. We're all here to serve for the betterment of our state and just pass along the great history and tradition and legacy we have in sports in our state of Tennessee.
A television special aired on June 25th recognizing the class of 22. But, again, as Harold was saying, induction dinner and ceremonies Saturday at the Omni. Inductees will include Sharifa Barksdale, R.A. Dickey, the late Harry Galbraith, Artis Hicks, Javon Curse, Randy Lambert, David Legwand, Nikki McCrae Penson, David Suddeth from Tribeca, Tony White, the late David Williams II, and Toby Wilt. And they will also recognize some other yearly superlatives as they do. So
it'll be a big night in Nashville.
Absolutely.
Of course, every night's a big night in Nashville, right?
There's that.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah. Still, there's nothing like Beale Street.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's authentic. That's one of the things we talk about in Memphis. We don't work for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, but I do serve on that board as well in Memphis. But we talk about from a travel destination. When you're in the bowl business, surely there's certainly the football piece of it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the travel and the fan and being a travel destination, that's one of the things we talk about in Memphis is the authenticity of the Memphis experience. You
don't have to sell Beale.
No, there's only one Beale Street. There's only one Graceland. There's only one National Civil Rights Museum. There's only one Sun Studios. There's only one Stax. So if you're into that and you want the real deal, there's only one place to come, and that's to Memphis, Tennessee. And we're proud of that as well. And plus the football experience, the food, obviously, barbecue is at the top of the list, and we think we're the world champion when it comes to barbecue. My friends in Kansas City or even down in Texas with brisket might argue with me about that. But as I say, I've never been a rib I didn't like, so I'm all in on all of them. But
not one time.
But Memphis is a great food town. And certainly the barbecue is the focal point, but it's a great food town, which you wrap all of that together, and for the bowl and from our business, it's a great destination. And those are the things we talk about. Hey, you can come to Memphis and have a big time for 3, 4, 5 days, whatever your travel schedule is, and then you cap it off by coming to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. So proud to be a part of it, and it's a special, unique brotherhood. Seeing our friends at the other bowl games. Scott Ramsey was here earlier in the week, and just see folks with same thing last week in Dallas, but jump starts the season for all of us, and it's great to see our brethren in the bowl business, and we're ready to roll for 2022.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to it. It's hard to beat Memphis for an event. I mean, Nashville is a fantastic event town, but the difference between Broadway and Beale is that the food level is incomparable. Period. It's just incomparable. So that's that right there sets it over the top for me. But that's neither here nor there.
Who are we and what do we know?
Who are we and what do we know?
Yeah.
That is the other tagline for this show.
Yeah.
From preps to pros, and who are we and what do we know, Harold? Very little, but we appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Well, thanks for the time. This has been fun. I appreciate it. Again, look forward to being in your city this weekend for the Hall of Fame, and we just appreciate everybody. And if and we know one of the other unique things about our site is the college football loyalties are spread from one end of the conference to the other.
Well, not just that, but I mean, you've probably got Big 12 folks in Memphis as well.
You bet. So I say to the folks in your audience, if your team is playing in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, come on over and celebrate your team and their success and enjoy our city coming up on December 28th. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us.
You
Harold
bet.
Grader, Associate Executive Director of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Once again, back at SEC Media Days in the College Football Hall of Fame here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Maurice Patton, the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year. JP Plant on the controls, making sure everything gets taken care of. It's been a great week, as we've told you so many times today, and boy, what a show this is shaping up and has been. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it and many more great guests.
I've been impressed, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I've been impressed with the guests that we've been able to come up with while we've been here.
And I'm just saying, our guest list is pretty high up there on a normal basis. But boy, things are just getting better.
We've raised our game.
We have, in fact, raised the bar. But now we've set expectations for our listeners, Mo, which means we have to meet those expectations. So, yeah, make sure we get the phone numbers for everybody when we leave here.
Gotcha. Already on it.
Looking forward to this segment now as we have an exciting guest. One of the rotating hosts of SEC Now, and obviously hosting her own shows as well. She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like you guys have had a great guest list, so hopefully I'll just keep it the same. Status quo.
We're in the right state for you to be wearing that suit.
Thank you for saying that, because
I've heard you've gotten some slander today.
Oh, I've gotten so much, and I knew it was going to happen. So let me just put that out there.
Well, let me just set it up, though.
Yeah.
University of South Carolina graduate Alyssa Lang.
Yes.
Now, that kind of explains
why people might be a little upset.
People are upset. When I say people, I mean my beloved fellow alumni and fellow Gamecock fans. To set the stage, I am in a head-to-toe bright orange suit. Which, I know that as a Gamecock, I'm not supposed to have orange in the closet. I understand this. This is my only piece of orange, or two pieces with the pants and the blazer. But it was one of those things, and I've been trying to explain it to everybody. I tried it on. I fell in love with it. It was comfortable, so I bought it, and I'm wearing it, and it is what it is.
But
I love my alma mater.
I guess they're asking you, why did you even try it on,
Yeah,
right?
they are. In the name of fashion, you know what? Fashion took precedence in this outfit choice. But I can tell Tennessee fans and Florida fans and Auburn fans that it's for them. So
sure,
it works today.
Sounds like a female version of Kenny Chesney over here.
There you go.
I'll take that. That's fine. I love me some Kenny.
Understandable.
You have been host of SEC Now for how long now?
I'm going into my 5th year now, which is crazy to say out loud. It feels like I just started yesterday, but I believe I'm going into year number 5, which is really exciting. It's been such a fun journey since I got here in 18.
And everything that you guys have dealt with since in terms of broadcasting college athletics with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
It's got to be nice to kind of feel like things are getting back to whatever normal
quote unquote
is.
Normal.
Exactly.
Yeah, my first 2 years they were normal, right? I mean, we never knew what was ahead of us. And I was actually just in the hotel last night with Richard Johnson and Spencer Hall, who I did Thinking Out Loud with a couple of years ago when they came on with us. And I said, it was already enough of a challenge to start a new job at a prestigious network like ESPN and the SEC network. That's challenging enough in normal circumstances. And when they joined us, it was in the middle of a pandemic when we were doing TV from 4 boxes and from all over the country. So we were having that conversation about how much respect I had for them to start their journey with us quite literally in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. But yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey to just see how we've adjusted to watching the SEC do what they can to make sure that the student athletes are in the best position to not only compete but stay healthy and stay safe. How thankful that they've been throughout all of this, that we have indeed been able to make it work, even if it hasn't been normal. And it's really nice to just be back here. I think Commissioner Sankey said it on Monday that we should never lose sight of the fact that we are all here together in this room talking about college football when 2 years ago we didn't know when we'd be able to do that again. So I know I'm very thankful for that too.
Alyssa Lang of SEC Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And Alyssa, when you kind of get ready for a football season, this is really kind of when things start getting real. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have to prepare before now because you have to talk on your show a little bit later. But so what is the preparation like for someone who went from covering one team to now trying to know everything about the entire conference on the conference's network?
Yeah,
you kind of have to be an expert.
Exactly. It's always a work in progress, right? I'm always adding different things to my preparation routine. But, I worked in local news for about 7-8 years before getting to ESPN. And in that arena, I think it really prepares you for all of these things, right? When I was in Columbia, South Carolina, I was covering South Carolina and Clemson. When I was in Jacksonville, I was covering Florida, Florida State, and Georgia. But you're also covering dozens of high school football programs, high school basketball programs. I was also covering the Jaguars or whatever NBA team was nearby. So it kind of helped me prepare for learning everything I needed to know about a wide variety of sports. So then coming to the SEC, obviously, all these programs, 14 teams, 16 in a couple of years now, and we're talking about Texas and Oklahoma already, obviously, so I'm basically prepping them too. The process never really stops. I'm always on social media. I'm always scrolling through team sites to keep track. But the transfer portal's the hardest thing.
Oh, gosh.
Who's gone? Who from what school is at this school now? That's the hardest thing for me personally to keep track of, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. But I listen to local radio stations constantly to get an idea of what the hometown teams are thinking, what the hometown fan base is thinking. So it's just a constant, I guess, treating it like I'm a fan of college football, right? And that's what all of our listeners and viewers are doing constantly. They're always engaging and consuming content from their favorite teams and from their rivalry teams. That's what we do, right? We eat, sleep, breathe this thing. So that's how I approach it. It's not like this buckle down and study my notes for a week or whatever it is. Sure. It's just an ongoing process that I can't get away from it. I love it. So I always have my nose in something.
Mo, she said she covered from preps to pros.
There you go.
That's right.
That's our tagline here at Main Street Sports today.
Here we go.
We like that. We fit right in.
We may even clip that out. Alyssa Lang of the SEC Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Alyssa, really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you on SEC Now.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, we are going to continue coverage from SEC Media Days here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. That was not the right thing.
That's not.
But it's going in. That's definitely going to happen.
That's not typically how we go out. No, in fact, that's how we go out.
It's a new tradition.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant here with you from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, site of the 2022 SEC Media Days. Hope you guys have had a fantastic time throughout this show and I know you were waiting patiently for that final segment of the day that features Coach David Cutcliffe, who will join us later in the show. Make sure to stick around for that. But first, we've already had one bowl executive in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the Peach Bowl representative, Mr. Gary Stoken. And Gary,
now you got to be careful.
What's that?
It's not the Peach Bowl.
It is the Chick-fil-A.
It's the Chick-fil-A
Peach Bowl.
There you go.
And
because
You may get a
somebody's got to
Chick-fil-A
pay the
sandwich
bills,
after that,
right?
for that.
and the Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
Yes,
right.
so he just won up Harold Grader and the folks over in Memphis with the kickoff game as well. The Chick-fil-A kickoff game is one of the longest running, or is the longest running kickoff game, and you guys have really kind of set the tone for those neutral site opening weekend matchups.
Well, I appreciate that. Out of adversity comes positiveness. We, in 2006, when the old BCS said we're going to bring on a championship game, we made a bid for it. We didn't win. The Fiesta, Rose, Sugar, and Orange went to a double host model where they'd hold their game. 2 weeks later, they'd host the national championship. In 2007, the NCAA legislated a 12th game to the schedules. And I went to my board and I said, well, if we can't get in the BCS on the backside of the season, let's start the BCS on the front side of the season. And so we started the Chick-fil-A kickoff game format with Clemson against Alabama. Clemson was number 9. Alabama was like 25th. Alabama came in, won the game. And if Nick Saban were here, he would tell you that was the start of their run. They've been on ever since. They won the national championship the next year. So we've had a lot of success, a lot of great teams in our Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
And it's really kind of become, what we call it, what's the word I'm looking for, Chris?
I'm not sure.
Well, the required viewing, but yeah.
Appointment television.
Appointment television, yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, everybody kind of circles that weekend and that game as soon as it's announced pretty much, and this year is no different, Oregon and Georgia.
2 top 10 teams.
Yeah.
And we just announced today a sellout. The game is sold out.
So if you were planning on coming, but you don't have tickets,
Secondary
It's
market.
the secondary market, and then it's going to be
have fun with that.
it's going to be up there. Yeah, it'll be like bourbon. You don't want to pay that. How did this game come about? Because we were talking, you could, if you had all the information today that you had to put a game together, you couldn't come up with a better matchup than Oregon and Georgia.
Yeah, and great storylines with Dan Lanning leaving Georgia and being defensive coordinator, and now coming back his first game is against his friend Kirby Smart and his old team. Bo Nix leaving Auburn, going to Oregon, possibly being the starting quarterback. And it's interesting, better lucky than good sometimes. I had met with Mario Cristobal probably about 3 years ago at the Pac-12 Media Days and said, Mario, I have Georgia in 22. How would you like to play them? And he said, I'd love to play against Kirby because they were on the staff together under Nick at Alabama.
Right.
And so I did the deal with Mario and Rob Mullins, who was at Kentucky and now is the AD at Oregon. And then Dan Lanning winds up getting the job. So you never know what would happen there. But, putting these together, you talk to a lot of ADs and a lot of coaches and find out who they would play, who they wouldn't play, what openings they have in their schedules. And you try and, I look at the recruiting to see who's recruiting well. You look at what matchups may be interesting from a national perspective. So it's kind of Rubik's Cube to put it together, but we've been very fortunate to have some great matchups and great games like we have this year. And, over the next few years, 24 we'll have Georgia against Clemson. And then 25, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Tennessee. We've been blessed to have some great matchups throughout the years.
Syracuse, Tennessee. That's going to put Tennessee fans back to 1998.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of orange in the stands.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
Now, in addition to Oregon, Georgia, you've also got Clemson, Georgia Tech. Now, is that a conference game for them?
Yeah, that's the start of the ACC conference. We met with the ACC and said, look, They have in their TV contract with ESPN an unopposed TV slot on Monday night at 8 o'clock in primetime, which is a great TV spot. And we said, when it makes sense, we'll work with you and put a game on Monday night. It has to be, local teams to some degree because people have to work on Tuesday. So Georgia Tech loves playing in this. They love being in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we were able to do it this year with Georgia Tech Clemson to open the ACC season. And then next year we've got Georgia Tech Louisville on Saturday to open the season in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
You mentioned Georgia Tech loves to play in this. In 2017, they played number 25 Tennessee and
overtime game.
Overtime 42-41. Yeah, I remember sitting at home watching that one. That's the one Juwan Jennings broke his hand in. Yeah.
Well, you got a good memory.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty memorable.
Yeah,
in our neck of the woods. Yeah, Gary Stoken with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl joining us here on Main Street Sports today. How far out do you get these matchups?
Yeah, we're out through 2025, but you're always talking to coaches and ADs, finding out and looking at schedules, future schedules to see where they may be an opening, and then you look at expansion. Oklahoma, Georgia now are going to be in the SEC together after 24. Well, Georgia is supposed to play Oklahoma out there in 23, but Oklahoma is not supposed to come to Georgia until 31. Well, that game's not going to get played because they're in the same conference. So that might be an opportunity for Georgia, Oklahoma. So I pitched them to come here and play a one-off in our Chick-fil-A kickoff game. So you're always working the future to see what may work and what may not work, and all you can do is take swings at bat and see if you connect.
Swing hard in case you hit it.
There you go.
That's right.
Well, I tell you, when you look at some of these previous matchups, they've hit it pretty hard the biggest part of the time. You mentioned that Clemson-Alabama game in 2008. The next year it was Alabama and Virginia Tech.
That was number 5 against number 7.
Yeah. Also, Boise and Georgia in 2011. That was 5 and 19.
Yep.
Number 1 Alabama and Virginia Tech in 13. That one didn't go so well for Virginia Tech.
I remember that game too, thinking, this is the real beginning of the dynasty. Alabama obviously won in 09, and then Auburn played for it, but that Virginia Tech game really set them apart.
Yeah, they won at 35-10. Alabama did. So,
yeah.
But you've had some pretty close ball games, regardless of the rankings as well, and that's kind of what you're looking for. You
close games mean good TV ratings.
Yeah,
which is good for your sponsors.
Right.
Good for viewing audience, the number of people that want to watch the game, and we try and have tried to do the ACC-SEC matchup typically in our kickoff games, because now being a part of the New Year's Six in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, we don't control what teams we have. We have national teams like Michigan or Washington coming into play. So, and this year we'll have number 1 against number 4, 2 against 3, whoever that is, in our semifinal game. So, it's worked out for us to have a lot of ACC-SEC matchups in the Chick-fil-A kickoff games in the past.
What we have found is that in nothing does geography matter in college football anymore, it feels like.
It really does kind of seem that way, and it's a little unfortunate, I think.
Sometimes.
But, when you can get a cross-country matchup like Oregon, Georgia, you like seeing that kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. You don't see that until bowl games,
right.
and even then you may not see it. So, yeah, we had Auburn, Washington, in 18.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll get outside of the conference if there's going to be a ranked team to come in and play. So it's worked out very well, and we've basically changed the face of college football on the front side of the season, because prior to the kickoff games, most teams would play, a smaller school just to get a win and, kind of get their season started. Now we've learned that, most people want to play a tough game because the CFP demands you play a tough non-conference schedule.
And it's even trickled to the FCS. Now in Montgomery, they have the FCS kickoff game. It has become a really important factor of college football at every level. So
That's exactly
you guys were obviously the trailblazing
The trendsetters.
organization,
That's
the trend setting.
Yeah.
So, it's important.
Well, that's what we like to do. We were responsible for bringing the Hall of Fame here to Atlanta because we thought that, in the Capital College football it would do well. It's done well here. In South Bend they were doing about 60,000 people a year. Now they're doing, pre-COVID, about 300,000 through here. So, it's good for tourism. It's good for college football to have something like this. And we're all about giving back to college football.
And you give back to just youth in general. It is college football's most charitable bowl organization with $59.2 million in total donations since 2002. The Peach Bowl is dedicated to the future of student athletes and college football, and you guys have done as well, if not better than anybody else. So, Gary Stoken, thank you so much for your efforts since 1998. He's been doing this and has done a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
So thank you
Chris.
for doing
Thanks, Mo.
it.
Appreciate
and
you
thank
having
you for
us.
taking time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from the College Football Hall of Fame and SEC Media Days on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant on the controls, coming to you from the College Football Hall of Fame here in Atlanta, Georgia. Among SEC Media Days, Radio Row, we've got fantastic folks all around us, have had such a fantastic week, Mo. It has been just so much fun getting a chance to walk around the Hall of Fame, to meet a lot of folks, to see a lot of familiar faces and folks that we haven't seen or talked to in a while. And it's been great.
It really has. Like you said, for me, having covered the SEC in another life, it's been a lot of fun to see some of the folks that are still around, catching up with some folks that we follow on Twitter and that kind of thing, and gleaning a lot of knowledge from, and have been fortunate enough to have some on the show with us. So it's been a lot of fun.
It really has. And the College Football Hall of Fame has been so gracious from the time that we announced we were coming to today. So we want to thank them so much for their hospitality. And we're not just saying that because the College Football Hall of Fame CEO, Kimberly Bowden, is sitting at the table with us. But, Kimberly, it really has been a pleasure. You guys have been phenomenal.
Well, thank you very much. And you can butter me up anytime.
Flattery will get you very far in life, I hear.
Yes, it will. It will.
But in all seriousness, though, as soon as we tweeted out that we were coming down for this, someone from your staff hit us up, both on Twitter, in DMs, that kind of thing. They've been in touch with us about getting special tours. They were with us about getting you on, and we really appreciate you taking the time, because I know you've been busy.
We've been very busy, but I could talk about the Hall of Fame all day, every day.
Well,
I love the place. It's my job, and so thank you for having me.
Well, there's certainly a lot to talk about. You came on board in June 15th as VP of Marketing and Communications, worked your way up, and I don't know what you do. What is it you do here? Because, I mean, this place kind of sells itself, I would imagine.
Well, you would think that. I think my biggest role is to be the ambassador for the Hall of Fame and to just really shine the best light I possibly can on this incredible facility and also on the mission, right? We are a nonprofit, and so it's really important for me, I think, to be the voice that, really carries that mission forward. We're focused on education and inspiration. We have over 1,200 Hall of Famers, and these are not just incredible athletes and coaches, but incredible human beings that have some amazing stories, and we get the honor of sharing those to really inspire future generations. And so through programming, STEAM curriculum, and things like that, so I get to carry the mission forward too.
We looked around this place a little bit earlier this week and will continue to do so, but one of the most impressive things to me, and this is the first time I've been here, but when you first walk in the door and you see those 760 football helmets from every Division I, Division II, Division III NAIA football program in the country. That's really impressive. I mean, it's impactful right there. And then when you talk about the number of kids playing for each of those programs, there are a lot of people involved in college football at some level.
Absolutely. It goes well beyond, the Power 5 and Division I schools to, as you said, all the way down to NAIA. And these are, football is a game changer and a life changer for many of these athletes when they start playing the game. And the life lessons it teaches, will carry through. So, we're excited to be able to celebrate kind of those universal values. As the game is going to continue to change in the climate that we're in, we get to celebrate the best of the game and the people that have played it.
And as you say that, the fact that the SEC is having its media days here this week, it just seems like we were talking about it earlier in the week. If you could have your media days here, I don't know why you wouldn't.
And anybody can. So honestly, we are, obviously proximity-wise, Atlanta is kind of the center of the SEC conference, but we are the National College Football Hall of Fame. There's only one. So, we welcome any and every conference that would love to come to their media days here. We'd love to have you.
Big Ten?
Absolutely, come on.
I don't know how SEC fans. There might be bigger crowds to boo the Big Ten teams than there are to cheer on the SEC teams. Actually, how our fans kind of get around here.
Well, and that is what makes our game so special. Are those rivalries and that passion that is just steeped, very deep.
Mm-hmm. Speaking with Kimberly Bowden of the College Football Hall of Fame here. Kimberly, I have been here when it's not shut down, and by that I mean the interactive exhibits that you guys have are just really interesting, from the fight songs to coming in here and getting a chance to be the play-by-play guy on some of the most iconic plays in college football history, to actually throwing and kicking footballs on the field. It's just
he missed.
I missed my field goal. It's not good.
You need to practice and come back.
I will tell you, I don't think my hamstring can take it, or my quad again. One time was enough.
We've seen a couple people blow out a hammy.
I bet
it's happened. It's not pretty.
Well, you certainly aren't stretching before you do it. You're in line, and nobody's over there, pulling their legs up. And next time, if I do it again, I promise you, I will be over there stretching out, making sure everything's good.
I've got visions of Al Bundy.
That's exactly. I mean, those 4 touchdowns in one game. But no, the interactivity is that's one thing that makes it really cool for all ages.
Absolutely.
From little kids all the way to adults much older than me.
And that's what we wanted. We wanted something that celebrated all the fun in the game. Yes, the Hall of Fame is hallowed ground, and it's really celebrating, again, as I said, the best of the best. But the game itself is fun, and we have fight song karaoke. We have a game day desk where you can sit in between Reese and Desmond and pick the winner. We have virtual face painting. We have a combine challenge. We have a quarterback simulator that's VR. That's one of our newer exhibits.
That was really cool. I got a chance to sit in the stands. There's like a little bleacher section behind, and I got a chance to watch a couple of kids throw. That was really fun.
Well, if you get a chance to do it, it's pretty amazing. All 22 players on the field. It is totally immersive, full 360. And if you play, we have Pee Wee, high school, college, and pro level. And if you play that pro level and don't get rid of the ball, you are going to get hit, and it is going to feel like you got hit. It's pretty incredible.
So that makes sense. Yeah, we will get rid of the ball. Gotcha.
Kimberly
Middle note.
Bowden, CEO of the College Football Hall of Fame, with us here on Main Street Sports today. A Central Florida graduate. Which national champions were y'all again now?
Well, when they beat Auburn, right, in the Peach Bowl. So
Right here in Atlanta.
yeah,
Were you there?
I was.
Oh, I bet.
Now, are you claiming that?
No.
Okay.
She's like, eh.
Just,
I mean, I work in the business. I gotta have some credibility here. No.
just wanted to be sure. So
Not
you,
here. She's claiming it. At the house, though. She's got a
banner
flag,
and a ring and all that, right? Yeah.
I get the pleasure of being a Gator and a Knight, so as I went to both, so
Oh.
How about?
How does that work?
it's it hasn't been necessarily a rivalry in any way, shape, or form. So that could change, but
Josh Hype will come at SEC Media Days, so that's interesting there.
There you go. Yeah. So you were a college football fan before you got here, then?
oh yes, very much so.
I would think it would be almost a requirement.
It is. Now, I will say, I don't want somebody to come work here just because they're a college football fan. They need to be passionate about the work we're doing because, yes, the topic is college football, but we're still operating, a museum, and we're dealing with the public. And so they've got to have a passion for the business itself. But, yeah, it is one of the interview questions we like to ask. And then they'll always say who their team is, and then there's always banner. I get paid to talk smack for a living.
And we do too.
You
but
kind of do.
We do kind of.
Yeah.
So that is interesting and very fun. By the way,
It is. If they needed some help on the field when Florida State was here for kickoff versus Alabama, and so you're trying to help people kick field goals, and the Florida State fans step up, and you're like, wide right or wide left?
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's fine. It's fine.
That is one thing that I feel like that's one thing that is unique about this place. Like you said, it's the only college football Hall of Fame. You're the only one. So people from all across the country are coming here to see their team's, biggest moments. I mean, you look over here and you've got California, Stanford, Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, Ohio State, those rivalries. But I mean, you have, the historically black college and university section. You've got so many different things that reach so many different levels of college football.
Yes, and that was very important to be inclusive. You mentioned the 760 helmets. We wanted to be completely inclusive of the game while at the same time, representing the Hall of Famers themselves.
Now, what is the process of nominating someone for the Hall of Fame? Is there a public process, or is it actually media-based, or how does that work?
So the National Football Foundation oversees the selection and induction of College Football Hall of Famers. It's a pretty tough criteria. You have to be first-team All-American as a player. So when you start thinking about quarterbacks, that really starts to narrow the pool. So you have to be either unanimous or consensus first-team All-American. Then you have to be 10 years out of college and not an active pro. And then your school has to nominate you. So you have to have maintained a good relationship with your college or university, and kind of have that character thing going for you as well. And then once the school nominates you, then the National Football Foundation and Honors Court put the ballot together. The ballot's released. National Football Foundation chapter members can vote. The Honors Court votes, and they kind of come down to the final group. And this year, there's 19 going in that'll be inducted in December.
Wow.
That's a pretty solid class.
It really is, and
is.
It's a solid process. It sounds like, because, like you said, it checks off all the boxes in terms of both your athletic accomplishments and what you've done, in your community, on your campus, that kind of thing as well.
That's correct. How you have stayed, integrated into the community after you leave.
Yeah. Kimberly Bowden of the College Football Hall of Fame. Kimberly, just want to say once again, thank you so much for your hospitality. There has been, look, I'm from Birmingham area. I'm from the Birmingham area. I loathe that Atlanta is taking the things from Birmingham, right? I mean, it really
I get
it
it.
upsets me. But, again, the backdrop for SEC Media Days, it's hard to beat this, and you guys have done a fantastic job from top to bottom, not just taking care of the coaches and players, but taking care of the media and the fans who are in attendance.
Well, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to have a place where the fans could be, and that's why we opened that quad area to the public so that they could cheer on the coaches and the players that come through. But, yes, you're the reason we're here, right? So the media is the reason we're here today, to have the opportunity to visit with the coaches and players. So thank you for the compliment. It's our job. So glad to hear they're doing it well.
They are. We've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your help.
No, my pleasure.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from SEC Media Day here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Come back after this.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We hope you've enjoyed this special Friday edition of Main Street Sports Today. We've had a fantastic time getting to talk to some great guests throughout the week. And if you missed any part of the show Monday through Friday, you can always go back, of course, and visit MainStreetSportsToday.com or wherever you get your podcasts, Main Street Media TV, all of those great things. Wherever you get it, make sure to go check it out. It's worth it. And it's at least evergreen up until August 27th.
Yeah, it'll be good for about another month or so, because it's all college football, and everybody's 0-0 for about another 5 weeks, I guess.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we are excited to close this week out with a fantastic guest who is awaiting at the end of the table. And Mo, you go way back with this guy, so I'm going to let you do the honors.
I do. Coach Cutcliffe probably doesn't remember it, but we talked in a press box at a state championship game at Vanderbilt Stadium. I don't know how I wound up in the same suite with him, but we were chatting briefly, and then I was fortunate enough to get to cover the University of Tennessee for a couple of years. I refer to him as Peyton sophomore and junior seasons. That's how everybody
knows they are.
Yeah.
You can relate to that.
Exactly.
Era.
Exactly.
I got it, Maurice.
But I almost said Coach David Cutcliffe. Former Coach David Cutcliffe, now working with the Southeastern Conference as special assistant to the commissioner for football relations. And the quote that SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey gave at the time of Coach Cutcliffe's hiring in late March: David Cutcliffe has earned tremendous respect across the college football community, and he adds to the SEC office a valuable depth of knowledge and expertise in the game. And I can't imagine anybody disagreeing with that assessment.
Well, thank you. I hope he still believes that.
He's had a couple months on the job now.
I can't resist this. So I got a couple things before we get started. Chris.
Yes, sir.
Bone and Joint, all good there. I saw the movement, to the music, okay?
It's a little groovy.
And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every Main Street in Middle Tennessee, Coach.
Yeah, that's it. So when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone was. Mo gives me grief for it.
Here's a question, though. Would you recruit him, Coach?
Yeah, I think so, based upon upper body. Now, I got to see his footwork.
You don't want
to
see
make
the
that
footwork.
final
It's just
decision.
it's side to side, Coach.
Well, I mean, sometimes a little is a lot.
I like it.
Coach, the one question I had to ask you, it's late July. August is coming. Do you miss it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I miss the relationships with the staff and players. I miss not having a quarterback to groom, coach. It's such a challenging position for them and learning from them. And, it's already – I talked to Daniel Jones on the phone at length last week, and normally I would have worked with him in the offseason as I did Peyton and Eli and bringing receivers in and their receivers. And, I mean, it was that's hard not to do that. I may have to open up in a summer of my pro passing camp or something and rotate guys in with their players. I always love that because you run into some of the more dedicated football players and great friendships with those guys through the years. So, and I know I'm going to go around to 14 practices. I know how to be hot in August, and I'm going to do that. I grew up without air conditioning in Alabama, so I know something about being hot. So I'm going to stand out at 14 practices and watch some football practice, and I hope that gives me that feeling and that fix.
Just enough.
Yeah, and if I didn't think I wasn't in a position to maybe in some small way affect college football positively, I wouldn't have done this. But I think we needed a coach's perspective involved in some of the administrative decisions that are being made, and I want to represent our coaches in the Southeastern Conference, and for that matter, all coaches to some level.
David Cutcliffe, 14 seasons at Duke, 77 wins, 6 bowl appearances, and recruited Middle Tennessee a pretty good bit while they were over there. I specifically remember defensive end from Overton, Desmond Johnson, that came over.
Yeah, and that was early on, and he did a great job for us, and we won a lot of games with Desmond. Lucas Patrick, who's still playing in the NFL from Brentwood, and I can't list them all. I'm going to make somebody mad. But, it's Nashville. I recruited it forever, and not only at Tennessee but at Ole Miss, and it was a natural to go back. An evolving city and community, and football's better than people might think. So find a lot of football players through the years that have come out of that great city.
More here of late.
And getting better early on.
Yeah.
The population growth just puts you in that perspective of more athletes.
Coach, Mo mentioned that he had covered Tennessee in Peyton's sophomore and junior seasons. He was in the building in Legion Field when you guys broke the streak. And my story is I'm from Walker County, Alabama.
Jasper.
Grew up, diehard Alabama fan. My dad went to every Iron Bowl from punt Bama punt to bow over the top. Okay? I grew up loving Bleeding Crimson, but just before that Tennessee-Alabama game, I told my dad, I'm rooting for Tennessee this year. I really like this Peyton Manning fella. I'm 10 years old, Coach. I don't know anything.
You were a traitor in that circumstance.
He said, that's fine, but you can never change back. And to this day, I am a Tennessee fan when they're playing on Saturdays, and it's all because of you.
Wow. Well, that's a tough statement. For your dad to make. I have, we smoked a cigar in that era before you couldn't smoke a cigar. And, Peyton's he gave me when he finished a silver cigar that has the scores of those Tennessee wins. And it's a prominent place in my house. But there was 2 great stories of Legion Field. One was that opening play went 80 yards for a touchdown. I was sitting on the bus, and I didn't tell Peyton. I always sat with Peyton on the bus, and I told Peyton on the way from the hotel, I said, Peyton, here's going to be the opening play. And I said, Coach Oliver's going to be in some form of match 3 deep, but I want you to set to the hitch outside, and Joey is going to be vertical, and you're going to see the flat defender buzz to that hitch. Corner's going to jump the hitch. I'm just telling you, I know first plays. I've worked against the best of the best, Brother Oliver, and this is what's going to happen. And I said, Joey's going to split the seam, hit him on time, and he's got a chance to score. So, Peyton comes off the field after throwing the 80-yard touchdown with 20-yard line touchback, and he's like, yeah, and it's going to be a good day, and it was. But he that old Peyton twist, we worked hard on twisting your shoulders. It's not just eyes, but it does sell it, and you don't have to pump a ball. If you twist your shoulders, a good defender is breaking before you make the motion, and it all just –
And they had good defenders.
Ooh, did they? And it kind of came to life. But one of the great memories of being able to coach a guy that listens so well and was a great athlete, much better athlete than people would give him credit for, moved well, great feet. Everybody said, he can't run. Well, yeah, he can run. He's just not going to be a guy that is going to be Lamar Jackson, okay?
Yeah, he's not
who
gonna
is.
Be yeah, right. There you go.
So anyway, that's a good story about Tennessee, Alabama.
Well, Coach, here's the thing. That's a great story. What kind of gets lost to me in that ball game is Jay Graham busting that long run at the end.
And I recruited Jay out of North Carolina, and what a great coach he's been, and great person, and he was so talented now. And so strong and much better than people gave him credit for or remember about the Tennessee Volunteers. And he had a lot of great plays. Happened to be that Alabama games were a big part of his.
Kind of brought out the best in him,
It
didn't
did.
Yeah.
And that's what big-time players make big plays in big games. And I've always thought that. If you just look through the history of football, and when I tell young coaches, when you get into big games, you better think players, not plays. People get caught up in strategy and X's and O's, and the strategy is to put your players the big-time players in a position to make a play. It's not your calls that win game. It's the functional part. It's the player that wins games.
Makes a lot of sense.
The Jimmy's and Joe's, not the X's and
It's
O's.
not X's and O's, it's Jimmy's and Joe's
you
every
hit
time.
it, Maurice. But if you can have good Jimmy's and Joe's, but if you don't put them in the right position, and I've always told quarterbacks, I want you to know everything I know, but you're the functional part. I want you to know everything I know, but you're going to know more than me when it's said and done. I'm going to learn from you as you function. And any young offensive coach or quarterback coach, I would tell them all, and I do tell them, learn from your players. This isn't about you. You don't stick your chest out and think you've done anything. It's always about the player first.
Makes a lot of sense. Speaking with David Cutcliffe here and serving as special assistant to the SEC for football relations. And Coach, what does that mean? What is it you say you would do here?
I'm a lot like Dwight Schrute in the office.
Exactly.
Okay? Very similar.
He has a red stapler and everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of, we're painting that picture and we're making it what it is, and I have to be there for coaches as a good ear. I can understand their perspective. I can have great talks privately with them. But the same thing's true for assistant coaches. I try to stay very much in touch with the directors of football operations because they know the day-to-day issues. They know what their coaches are going through. Every aspect of a program, if I can help in any way, I'm going to do that. The next step for me is to kind of push myself into this legislative part of it. The higher you go up the governance chain, the further away you get from anybody that's ever worked with an athlete. Okay, so I maybe can in some small way help where the law of unintended consequences doesn't dominate the decisions of the game, because it's no fault of anyone's,
Sure.
but they don't see the impact of some of these decisions that are made. And I'm trying hard, and the commissioner's put me on a national committee that is studying the recruiting calendar and the playing and practice calendar. And, I'm certainly the only former football coach on that committee, and so I think I can give insight, and I already have in our first meeting, that I think, they raised eyebrows like, oh. So that's why, and there's a lot of people, I've coached so long, a lot of the rules in the calendar that's in place, I know why they were put in place, because it was the wild, wild west. And we've got to avoid going backward and try to make sure we move forward.
With that said, Coach, to the wild, wild west, there are those who would tell you that the NIL and the transfer portal are taking us back to that. Things can be better than they are in terms of both those things.
Sure.
But neither of those things is a bad thing. Is that fair to say?
No, there's no question. Let's talk name, image, and likeness. I'm a fan of it. But listen to what we're saying. Name, image, and likeness. All that means is that a college athlete, and we're going to talk football right now, but a football player that collegiately earned some value in his name, his image, and likeness, and that's being used by other people to make money. Why shouldn't they share in that? But that's not a high school athlete. That's not a recruiting purpose. It shouldn't be a decision purpose. It should be something you earn once you're there. I'm all into name, image, and likeness, but remember what I said about the law of unintended consequences. Now we're thrown into the wild, wild west with it. So we have to find a way to create some regulation, get it out of the recruiting mode. Now let's talk about the transfer portal. When I hear a coach complain anywhere about the transfer portal, or to me, here's my response. Transfer portal's fine. You have to take your program and build relationships with that locker room, the entire locker room. There are scholarship players on every team. There are unscholarship players on every team that you should have great relationships, not just the stars. You build a locker room. You care about your people. You have meetings, and you're interested in their career as a college football player. You're interested in their career if they're going to be an NFL player, but you're interested in their career, which is the majority of them that aren't going to be NFL football players. And their loyalty is a two-way street. I've always said that in a football program, trust and love are the two most powerful things we have. People say, love? Absolutely. And you can't have a real love or respect for someone without complete trust. So don't complain to me about the portal when your guys are leaving. Now, if you have a selfish player on your team, say, screw it, I'm going to go get some money. You know what? Pat him on the butt and tell him don't let the door hit you on the way out.
You don't want that guy anyway.
Right, exactly.
So it's all okay. But let's tell, and this is media, this is parents, this is coaches, this is administrators. Let's try to educate young people on what they need to look for in life. And it's not this short-term, quick fix. Man, you start choosing that in life. And I tell young people my whole career, one of my lines is, you don't need to choose places, you choose the right people.
That's right.
We're born to family, and then we collect peeps along the way. And those people are often what shapes the value of your life. And certainly it's not going to be money. So I'm going to hold a media accountable. You know, people need to know what they're talking about. when it comes to young people's lives. I'm fortunate I got more rings, championship rings, than I got fingers. But on my deathbed, I'm not going to be saying, Lord, hey, look, here, let me in with my rings. I'm going to be held accountable, and should be, for how I dealt with young folks. And I want all coaches and all people to understand we're dealing with lives, not jersey numbers.
That's right.
Lives, real people. And so let's keep that in perspective as we go. And that's why I like doing what I'm doing now, because I'm not having to recruit anybody. If I make somebody mad I don't care. I'm going to speak the truth and try to keep it within reason, listening and thinking about all parts of it.
No more coach speak from Coach Cutcliffe, he says.
I don't think there's ever been any coach speak from
I
Coach
haven't done
Cutcliffe.
much of that, honestly. I don't do it in recruiting. I've always told them the truth, because if you don't, how are they ever going to trust you?
That's right.
When they're playing for you, if they find out once they're there, you didn't tell them the truth.
Anybody that's listening to Main Street Sports today, or has been for the last 10 minutes or so, just learn what I've known for 30 years. David Cutcliffe is one of the best people in college football.
Thank you.
And I've always felt, I've said that to you.
You have.
When nobody was listening. And, Coach, I am honored to have you on our show.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm honored to be on Main Street. I was born way off Main Street. So, yeah, I am honored, and I love the work you guys are doing for yourselves, but for the game. And, again, this is all about the players. Sure. Let's not forget that. You know, it's about and their well-being is more than just money.
Right. Absolutely. Coach David Cutcliffe here on Main Street Sports today, rounding out our coverage from SEC Media Days. It has been a pleasure. We have been at the College Football Hall of Fame all week long. We have talked to some of the greatest football minds. We've talked to some of the most entertaining people, and we've talked to the most influential person in college football.
Absolutely.
It has been a fantastic week, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, if you missed any part of it, go visit at @MS_Sports Today on Twitter, at MS Sports Today on Facebook. Of course you can. That's right, Coach. You got to get those feet going, though. Or you can go to our website, MainStreetSportsToday.com, where you can find everything, our podcast, our video, and all of that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thanks to Coach David Cutcliffe and all of our guests throughout the week. For JP Plant, I'm Chris Yao. Mo?
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend